So alongside Mel to Lilith, we have another member of the Sakura 5 going up on Rate Up, and that is going to be Passionlip, who I know a lot of people are going to be summoning on this banner specifically for her for, well, obvious reasons. So they're probably going to want to know how good this unit is if they're going to go out of their way to summon for her, and I'm just going to let you know right now, she has very steep competition as a Buster AoE alter ego. She's competing directly with Okita Alter, and the servant that's going to come out in probably like a week-ish, King Protea, who both in their own rights are very, very solid servants. So Passionlip is going to have to do a lot to compete with those two. Now, taking a look at her hits, it's very unfortunate that they gave her the Berserker deck where she has 3 Buster cards, because it's going to be hard for her to gen her NP on her own. She doesn't have any battery, she has no innate NP gain skills, so she's really just relying on her raw hits and like NP charge attack, which is almost 0.8, which is pretty good. But 4 on the 1 quick and 3 on the 1 arts is just not going to really be enough. Although they at least threw her somewhat of a bone and gave her 5 hits on her extra attack, which we do really like to see. Now, moving on to her skills, her first skill is kind of like the Tamamo Cat skill, you know what I'm saying, where it gives her the self-debuff immunity because her third skill has a stun on it. So this is something that you're supposed to kind of keep up as long as possible, right? Which, to be fair, you can have this up all of the time theoretically, since it gives DR and self-debuff immunity for 3 instances, but they last for 5 turns, and at skill level 10, the cooldown is at 5 turns, so theoretically this can be up all the time, which is going to help Passionlip in her role as like this tank taunt wall. But then it's also going to allow her to do a little bit of damage, because if she's not going to be stunning herself, she can obviously use her third skill, which is pretty powerful. So this is more of like the skill that makes Passionlip just have the ability to function, right? It's something you should probably get to skill level 5 immediately. Then there's her second skill, which is her actual taunt. Unfortunately, it's only a 1-turn taunt. We would have liked to see that be a 3-turn taunt, like St. George, because we don't really have enough of 3-turn taunters, but just having another taunter is pretty good. She does get defense for the 1 turn that she does have taunt up to 30%, so that combined with the DR means she should be taking not a whole lot of damage and should be effective as a taunt wall. But then they threw in an extra effect where Passionlip can get an additional 30 to 50% attack depending on how low her HP gets. So if she's at like right 50%, you know, she'll probably have like 30% attack, but if you can get her to like 1 HP, she'll have like 50% attack, which is a lot, right? That's a lot of power that she's going to be getting, and it lasts for 3 turns. So, you know, you can pump this when you want to taunt somebody, and then if your HP happens to fall below 50% HP, the attack buff will proc, which is very powerful. Her third skill is kind of her bread and butter skill. It gives her 30% attack for 3 turns, ignore invincibility for 3 turns, an additional 30% defense, although again, it only lasts for 1 turn, which is very odd. I don't know why neither of the defenses last 3 turns, but whatever, she at least gets extra defense on top of that, which again, having that 30% defense for that 1 turn with the damage reduction should allow her to take, you know, fine, right, damage, like she should be able to tank. But then she also has this chance for 1 attack on 3 turns to just insta-kill somebody, which I've had proc sometimes, right? So if you just ever see your Passionlip insta-kill somebody, her skill procced. So overall, just looking at the skills, they're very, very basic. It's like, okay, she has a self-stun, but she can get around that with her debuff immunity. She has like DR pretty much up all the time. 2 of her skills give her additional defense, 2 of her skills give her additional attack. She has Pierce Invincibility, which is very, very good because that allows her to bypass dodge and invincibility, and it lasts for 3 turns, which is very good. So overall, her skills are very basic, but because they're basic, they're all fine, right? They're not exceptional, but they're fine. She's lacking things like a Buster buff, she's lacking things like reducing Buster resistance, lacking NP damage, lacking crit damage, all of that stuff is stuff that she's lacking, but thankfully someone like Merlin can give her like a little bit of that extra, you know? You can give her like a massive Buster amp, and then you can pair her with characters like maybe Iskandar or Drake, really any of the tactics characters that give AoE NP damage. So there's people you can pair her with if you want to use her as like a secondary DPS and somewhat of a tank. Like Mel to Lilith, she has a lot of passive skills, very high innate debuff resistance, has a little bit of built-in crit damage and a little bit of built-in crit star generation, which is why her quick card is kind of decent, right? 4 hits on it is very nice. She can actually drop a few stars, but this also really does help her NP. Her NP can drop a fair amount of stars, especially when you pair it with Merlin's second skill. So that is something you do want to go ahead and keep in mind. But then looking at her NP, it is the lowest damaging NP out of all of the alter egos, and it probably has some of the weakest effects. It just deals damage and recovers 3 to 7,000 of the party's HP, which is decent, right? Like 3k HP is nice, but it's not like the best, right? I guess it helps her out in her like tanking, taunting ability, right? But so overall, is Passionlip a good servant? I mean, she's fine, she's serviceable. If you don't have anything else, you probably will get some use out of her, especially if, you know, you're just summoning for her because you really like her for, well, you know, obvious reasons again. But if you have somebody like Okita Alter, or if you summon for King Prote, you're probably not gonna find yourself using Passionlip all that often. Something I think that could be really good for her is if they give her, on her first skill, just like NP gain for like 3 turns. It doesn't have to be massive, but give her like 20 to 30% NP gain for 3 turns, or go big or go home. Since some of her skills are only like 1 turn procs, give her like a 1 turn, like 100% NP gain or something. So you can pop that when you get her arts card, and then you can just gen a whole bunch of your NP back. That would also be very, very nice. But let me know what you guys think about Passionlip. I know a lot of people really like her and they don't like her getting bullied, so I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be like, no, Passionlip is super amazing, and they're gonna try to come at me in the comments, right? But I'm just telling you how it is, alright? I'm just giving it to you straight. But with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I hope you guys do have fortunate rolls when rolling for these two. They should be dropping in like 2 days, I believe. I'm trying to be a bit more proactive about doing these videos, not when the banners like actually just drop. I'm trying to drop the video a few days before the banner drops, because it might be too late for some people. Like if I drop it the day the banner drops, some people might already summon and like be like, oh, the unit's stinky. So trying to get out ahead, trying to let you guys know, trying to stay informed, you know. So with all that being said, I'm actually going to get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace, late guys.